Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. My name is Joseph Sangle, and we are fired up to help you start your Monday and your week off right with Monday Money Tips so that you can win with your money and live a fully funded life. Today, we are at episode number
119.
And that is the voice of Megan Hibbard, my co-host, and we're fired up to bring this to you on October 12th, 2020. Can you believe it?
Halfway through October.
Halfway through October. It's unreal. It's my favorite time of the year. In fact, I just ate my first thing with pumpkin spice as we were preparing for this episode recording. It was a pumpkin spice Twinkie. Yes.
I'm not sure
One of the
words.
most amazing things ever. It absolutely worked. It was absolutely amazing. And I only ate one, and it was awesome. So I do recommend it. This show is not sponsored by Pumpkin Spice anything. However, we know that have you noticed how people are like on both sides of this argument on pumpkin spice? Some people like, I hate pumpkin spice, all things pumpkin spice, anything PSL is wrong. And then there's others who just love it.
I love it.
You love it.
I
love
it. Phase.
And so since we have the microphones, we win 2-0.
Love it.
Howard, we'd love to know in the show notes or if you're watching on YouTube whether or not you like pumpkin spice. Tell everybody while they're writing down whether or not they like pumpkin spice what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. So we're talking about when the right time is to purchase a house. So our question is, we want to buy a house, but we also want to pay off our debt, especially our student loan debt. Can you tell me when is the right time for us to finally buy a home? We get
That's
this question
a good
lot.
question. Isn't that a great question?
Yeah.
It is a great question. And, you know, there's been a big thing with the COVID-19 pandemic. Mm-hmm. All these young people who were living in the cities, loving the cities, and they love the cities because the life is there, all these restaurants, all the stuff they love, and all of a sudden all that shut down, and they're like, I don't have anywhere to go. I think it's time to move to the suburbs, move out.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a housing boom happening, the lowest inventory on the market since they started measuring the statistic in 1982.
Wow.
Is that incredible?
That is incredible.
And so there's a housing boom underway, driven by low interest rates, by the pandemic. Unbelievable. So this is a big question. We thought, hey, today is the day we should address it.
Yeah, we have friends that lived in the city, in New York City, and they did that. They got out, moved to the suburbs.
A member of our team, their daughter lived in the city. Guess what? They gone. They moved to the suburbs. Tell everybody about our featured resource for this month.
So this month, our featured resource is our Oxen online study. So you have huge hopes and dreams for your life, but unfortunately, most of them will cost so much that they may appear, that's the key word, appear almost unachievable. So if you're doing everything possible to win with your money, but feel like you're spinning your wheels financially, this is the study for you. In Oxen and Keto and Abundant Harvest online study, Joe shares principles that will help you maximize your financial resources so you can experience an abundant harvest and fund your biggest dreams. Your dreams are huge, they can be funded, and this 6-session online study will help you do just that. So this month, for a limited time, get the online study for only $20. So visit IWBNIN.com/help to learn more.
That's awesome. And one of the things that we did when we released Oxen, we released it in the month of October, and we didn't know who really declares like national holidays. So we decided to declare a national oxen holiday.
Why not?
We did it ourselves, which I think was really fun. And so that's why we're offering it as a feature resource this month. Plus, what better time for you to think about how to get your money to work for you, that type 2 income, which we shared in just a couple of episodes ago, to really help you get your money working for you. Now, before we dive into answering the key featured question of today's episode, it's time. It's that great time. You know what time it is. Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
This portion of the podcast is brought to you by the banking section of the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not Next Steps page. This is where you'll find all of our favorite banks who offer the best interest rates and zero fees. Check it out today by visiting IWBNIN.com, click on Next Steps, and select Banking.
Yes. And so for today's current money events section, I am talking about interest rates. Interest rates, it's an update. You know, there's been a massive decline in interest rates over the past year. Faced with the pandemic, the U.S. government took massive action to mitigate the financial pain most citizens were facing. One way to reduce pain is to lower interest rates, providing direct relief to all borrowers with variable interest rate debt and the opportunity for additional relief for those with fixed rates via refinancing options. As I've said before, declining interest rates penalize savers and reward debtors. Think about that. There's a penalty for saving money. In fact, saved money, other than providing margin, comfort, better sleep, peace, and all those,
Great things.
Seems pretty important as I say them. It won't make you more money these days. It won't even keep pace with inflation. And it's a massive problem. Now, many people have been refinancing their homes. I know that multiple members of our office have refinanced their homes, been able to. Now, this is a key, something I wanted to share, is if you refinance your home, don't refinance like if you had a 30-year mortgage you've been paying up for 6 years, it's now down to 24 years. Don't refinance it back to a 30-year note. That's a problem because you reset the date.
Yeah.
So if you started paying for it 6 years ago and you're 25, now you're 31, and you reset it, see, you would have paid it off at 55, but now you reset it back to 61. You don't want to do that. You want to reset it to the same number of years or less. You can get a 25-year note. You can get a 20-year note. And with the interest rates, many times you can have a 20-year note, pay less than you're paying on the 30-year note. Pretty unbelievable. Yeah. In fact, that's what many people in our office, one person went to a 15-year note and is actually going to pay it off. Yeah, I think it cost them like $12 more a month than their 30-year note, and they're only like 4 years in. So they literally knocked off 9 years of the repayment period by adding $12 a month with their refi. Oh. So it's important to think about. Now, as I've said many times, these declining interest rates do penalize the savers. And you don't make any money in your savings, and it rewards debtors with the refinance. But let me give you another example. Just 5 months ago on this podcast, interest rates available via online banks hovered right at 1.5%. Now, if you were listening to us, we said that's not going to last long. We knew that because the government was slashing the overnight federal funds rate. That is kind of what drives overall interest rates. And so now you really can't find anything better than 0.6%. Went all the way down to 0.6%.
I hate when I get those emails.
Oh, it's so bad.
They email you every time they decrease
it. Just a year ago, go back 52 episodes ago, man, mortgage rates were at 2.15%. They were actually getting somewhere reasonable, but they went away. So about 0.600 is paltry, yet it's better than nearly the entire world banking system, much of which is at 0% or even negative. It costs money to keep your money in a bank.
I can't fathom that.
I can fathom it because who wants to keep all their savings sitting at their house? There's a security issue there. There's issues that they might spend it, So they pay for the safety of banking and they pay money. It's crazy.
Go to the banking section and find a new bank.
Yes, find a new bank, especially for those of you in the U.S. And so mortgage rates have also declined, which makes it good for, as I said, the debtors. And so a 15-year note right now is 2.48%. That's incredible. Anything, as they say, with a 2 handle is unbelievable. And then a 30 years at 3% flat. So here's the single angle. This is why many people have moved their regular savings into the stock market. They're attempting to gain and replace income that their savings was producing by investing in dividend-paying stocks. And this comes with substantial risk, however, and as such is not a prudent use of your Rung 2 or your Rung 5 emergency fund savings. Indeed, if you have a home mortgage that is at a substantially higher interest rate, it does make sense for you to consider pursuing a refinance. But just remember, don't reset back to 30 years or 15 years, whatever you were at. Make sure you keep pace with the pace in which you were paying it off or faster. One thing I would tell you, your Rung 2 and Rung 5 savings is to be in safe, like safe, FDIC insured safe / in your mattress safe, like safe. No chance of it going away. It's there for protection, security, peace. And when you have it invested in a stock, there is no guarantee that that will remain safe. I don't care how good that company's been in the past or dividends have been, consistently paid. That can all change because, as we know, we're in weird and wild times in the market. And so that's what I wanted to share with the current money events section.
Perfect. Okay, our success story this week comes from Aaron, and Aaron said, my wife and I have been working together since the class, so they took one of our classes that we offer, and are using the website tools. The rung we're currently working on is paying off our debt from the smallest to largest, aka the debt snowball effect. So I will say that once we were able to have 1 month's worth of expenses in the savings account, it sure gave us a real peace of mind. So this is what we're just talking about, literally, having that in the peace of mind that you can get. So I still can't believe we were able to have that much money put away. It was awesome. According to the website tool, we should have all of our debt paid off within a year and a half. That's including 2 car payments, which is also amazing. Sometimes my wife and I say, why didn't we start this sooner? Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know what? We all say, ugh sometimes that we wish we had started this earlier, wish we would have done some financial decision earlier. And I look back sometimes at decisions that I say ugh to, and, you can sit there and be frustrated about it, or you can say, hey, I'm glad we didn't wait any longer.
That's true.
And there are some times that you look back at some decisions you pondered and you didn't make them, and you're looking back and saying, I'm glad I did not make them.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when I look back on why I didn't make decisions, it was from one of two reasons. One is I lacked knowledge. So there's some gap in my knowledge that I was aware of that made me concerned. And the other thing is I had fear. And so lack of knowledge, you can plug that gap. You can go get knowledge. And Proverbs 4:7 says the beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding. So go get it. But this fear thing, man, it's different for every single human being. And so that's what we hope to do with the podcast, is to be able to help you have confidence, financial confidence, so you can make the decisions, just as Aaron has made, Aaron and unnamed wife, Aaron's wife. And they say to each other, why didn't we start this sooner? Hey, look, you started and you're seeing success. Congratulations.
Yeah. She's equally as important. We just don't know her name.
100%.
Okay. So for our featured section for today, we're talking about buying a house. So we want to buy a house, but we also want to pay off our debt, especially our student loan debt. Can you tell me when is the right time for us to finally buy a home?
Yes.
We get this question a lot. You have debt. You want to, essentially, you want to get more debt. Because the house, not many people are carrying around $200,000, $250,000 it costs. So what do? We always say the ladder, you need to pay off all non-house, non-business debt first.
Yeah.
But where does it come into play when you're adding the debt in there
Yeah.
of the house? So it's a great question.
It's a great question, and it's a fair question. And especially when you're attacking student loan debt as they are, which can be monumental or seem monumental, you're definitely want to get fixated on that. And when do you do that? So let's first say, number one, congrats on looking to purchase a home.
Yeah, exciting.
This can be an excellent financial decision as long as you're appropriately prepared for it. And we're going to do our best in the next 10, 12 minutes to be able to help you prepare for that. And there is some simple steps that you can take to make sure you're prepared and have confidence in your decision making. The first thing is to do what?
So first, you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself on the I was broke, now I'm not ladder.
Yes, and so we teach everything that we teach is through the lens of the I was broke, now I'm not ladder. You can make these decisions, financial decisions, in different order, but what we found is this gives you the safest, most confident climb up the ladder, and has the least chance of being knocked back down the ladder from living a fully funded life. So here's what we like to say. Now, we want to list these rungs of the ladder. There's 9 rungs on the ladder, but I'm going to list the first 5 or so.
We're going to pop up a picture of the ladder so you can see it if you're watching on YouTube.
So if you watch on YouTube, there's some added benefit. You can see us, and you can see the strange looks that Megan gives at me when I sing current money events and all that. But you can see the ladder. And the first rung is to write down your plans, hopes, and dreams, that you set your goals. And after you know that, then the second thing is to build your emergency fund to 1 month's worth of expenses. That's rung 2. Once you've achieved that, that's an achievement. You go to rung 3, which is to start contributing to your retirement account. If you have a company retirement account, contribute enough to get the full match. If you do not have a match or a company retirement account, invest in another retirement account like a Roth IRA, $100 a month, whichever of the two is greater. And then after you're there, you go to rung 4, which is when you start assaulting all of your non-house, non-business debt. When you're done with that, rung 5 is where you take that payment money that was going to all those debts, the student loan debt, credit card debt, furniture debt, I owe mom and dad debt, all those debts, and you use that money to build your savings to a minimum of 3 months worth of expenses. Okay? Now, I said all that, and I have the ladder showing on the YouTube video because it's important, because I'm going to explain where you position yourself on the ladder when it's good to buy a house. So as long as you've completed at least rung 3, which means you're contributing to your retirement account enough to get the match, or $100 a month, whichever is greater, and you've begun working on rung 4, you're starting to kill some of your debts with the debt snowball, and you don't jeopardize your rung 2 emergency fund savings.
Key.
That's key. And you don't jeopardize your ability to invest in that retirement account, rung 3, and it helps accomplish one of your plans, hopes, and dreams that you've outlined on rung 1, which having a house is usually one of those. And you don't jeopardize your known upcoming expenses savings, which is saving for these things you know are coming, like Christmas, vacation, property taxes, things like that. That they're not monthly, but you know they're coming. And you have saved enough for the other known upcoming expenses, cause called your down payment. We would like you to pay 5% down, ideally 20%, but 5% at a minimum. Then you're ready for home ownership. That's when you're ready. I know that seems complex, but this is why we teach it in the form of the ladder, because you have to make these decisions in order. You can make them out of order, but let's look at it. If you buy this house and you don't have a down payment, then the house is immediately upside down in value.
Right.
Because to go sell it, most people will use a real estate agent. That's 5 to 7% sales fee. Where are you going to come up with that? You didn't even put that into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big deal. And if you do it without an emergency fund, can I get a witness that homes come with expenses that are unexpected, emergencies?
They do.
Yes, and they usually have zeros behind them.
Yes.
Right, and you don't want to jeopardize your long-term dream of being able to retire well and getting that free company money. So really, that's ultimately it. You know your plans, hopes, and dreams. This is one of them, home ownership. And you've got that emergency fund of at least a month's worth of savings. You're saving for your known upcoming expenses like Christmas and vacation. And you don't jeopardize your down payment. And then you're off and running. You can be ready for home ownership. And it won't hurt you because you're probably already paying rent. And when you look at the rent you're paying, when you buy a house, magically, you can make the rent go away as that lease expires. And so that has probably already wedged its way into your budget and is a significant portion, if not all of what your house payment will be.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are like, I don't know if I should buy a house or not. And obviously there's many steps like we just talked about going through those with them individually. But, it turns out they're paying double what we're paying for our mortgage. And we're investing.
Just down the street from us here in Anderson, South Carolina, there are luxury apartment homes. Mm-hmm. They're like $1,100 a month. Now, they get trash service. They don't have to worry about mowing the lawn. They have nice pool, fitness center, cables included, right? They just kind of a fixed number. Yeah. But you can buy a house right now in our area and have a payment of less than $1,000 a month.
Yeah,
I mean, it won't be the most spectacular home, but at least every single month, a portion of that payment goes into your pocket and you're building equity, and hopefully the market goes up and the value of that house goes up.
Yeah, and there's no reason that you're like, hey, I don't want the lawn care. Okay, well, they have apartments. They have other things that you can purchase. Like we have townhomes that are going in across the street from us, and they're in the 140s. I mean, that's very doable for a lot of people. And you might be in a different state and you're thinking, holy cow, I can't buy anything for
Move
$140.
to South Carolina.
Come on down. We have great things.
There's a reason why our population has expanded 40% in the last 30 years.
It's wild. Yep.
So I think it's important for us to stop here, Megan, and say, that you've bought homes.
Yes.
I bought homes. And you recently sold a home and bought a home. So kind of explain that process of, hey, you went and did that. How did you come to that decision? And explain to the person who's thinking about buying their first house, how different was it for you to buy this second house versus the first time you were looking at buying a house?
Yeah, so the first time Jordan actually did the hard work, I will say. He bought the house. We weren't married yet. So that one was
were you guys an item?
Oh, yeah. We were.
So you're having conversations?
Oh, yeah. So we looked at the house, picked it out. It wasn't just him doing it. We did it together. But we weren't engaged yet, but we knew we were quickly moving that direction. So, this time was obviously a lot more intensive. So we had been talking for probably about 2 years, maybe. Hey, our house is getting a little bit small.
You've added a dog.
We have a 75-pound dog. We have a 1.5-year-old. I work from home a lot of the time. My office at our old house was our guest bedroom. Our parents live out of town, both sets, so they wanted to come see Logan a lot. And it just was like, okay, we're all in this little tiny space. We're gonna have to move. For us, the kicker was we were on a half an acre, which for us was a big deal. We had this beautiful yard and we loved it a lot. So it was like a hard decision to make, but we just got to the point where it was like, okay, before kid number 2 is even a thought, we want to be able to be settled in the space that we're in. And so it was like, I need an office. We need another guest bedroom. We need a room for when we have kid number 2. We need all these things that can fit our family. That's changing from what it was when we got this first house.
Right.
And so I would say Jordan was definitely on the, he's very proactive, which I love about him. I'm more of a it's going to cost money. Maybe we should just wait it out. We can make this work. We even like looked at like how much it would cost to change our garage into like another room.
Yeah.
But people are weird when you try to sell a house that doesn't have a garage.
Oh, yeah.
So we
I'm one of
decided
those
not
weird
to do
ones.
that.
I'm not buying that house.
Yeah. So our real estate agent was very against that. But so we decided to, he probably had started looking maybe 2 years before me. I'd look at the houses, but I wasn't super interested. And then we found a new build that was close to our current home. And it was the first time that I was like, I like that. Like that could fit our family. And so we went and looked at it a couple times, and it just turned out it wasn't the right house for us. New builds are often a little bit more expensive because they're brand new.
Sure.
And so for us, it just didn't fit, but it got us looking at other houses. And so we went and looked at probably about 10 other houses with our real estate agent, who was super gracious and great, and loved looking with us. So we're super thankful for her. And then we were actually about to put an offer in on a house, and neither one of us were sure about it, which then you should know you probably shouldn't do it. Just FYI, if you're both, you and your spouse aren't like equally like, this is it, don't do it, because there's another one coming, I promise. And so we were about to put an offer on the house, and I was like, I don't know. And I got the ding in my email that a new house had gone up first, put on the market. In this area, I'm sure it's the same in your area, the houses go like wildfire. So we had to I instantly called my real estate agent. As soon as I looked at the house, I didn't even have to look through the pictures. I knew it was the one. It was the weirdest thing. We went and looked at it. The house on the market at like 10. We were the first showing at 11. We put an offer on the house. There were 6 other showings that day, but somehow they picked us, which was great. And so we got that house. But I will tell you, buying and selling a house at the same time is very stressful.
Yes.
So it is not for the faint of heart. So,
but we're talking about buying a first house, so they're not going to have to do that. But it was different. You had more confidence. You understood the prospect of a mortgage, the prospect of how to get insurance, closing costs, all that stuff. And I just want to kind of explain, in a hot market like you're describing, the second thing that we wanted to share is you got to avoid gotta have a house fever. Because gotta have a house fever can make you make poor financial decisions. And I'll just explain, in the same market, I was looking for an office, and I had a ding show up that is literally 1.4 miles from my house. I know I drive past it all the time. Yeah. It's kind of hidden, and it went on the market. I couldn't believe it. And it was on the market for what I felt like was unbelievably reasonable, would be perfect for our offices. I immediately called real estate agent, set up a showing for that afternoon, and like 3 hours before the showing, they called and said, don't even bother, it's already under contract. Like, that's how fast it is.
Yeah.
And that can create gotta have a house fever, and you can make a lot of terrible decisions if you get caught in gotta have a house fever, because you were pondering making an offer on one that did not 100% say yes to you.
Yeah, you look at these houses and you think, especially like for me, the closest I probably got was the new build one. And it's easy to like go into a house that's being built, and even like they're like, oh, well, you can customize this and you can customize that. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I can do all these things, the bigger and better. It's a brand new house, has all these new features, like all these new things that like the other houses don't have. And it's new. We're the first one to live in it. It's got a fireplace. It's great. And it's easy to get into this like, yeah, it's a little bit above our budget, but it's okay. Like we can make the payments work. Sure, we could have, but doesn't mean that we should have. And
so I think that's a good lesson for everybody who's listening, who's thinking about buying their first house.
Yeah.
Is don't let somebody else talk you into this. So there's a difference, because a lot of times the real estate agent is trying to inform you, but they're also motivated to sell
they want that commission.
something, because that's how they get paid.
Yeah, sure.
So you have to understand that, and that's okay. Sometimes they're helping you make a decision, and they understand you're a first-time buyer, and they need to give you that nudge. But at the end of the day, you're the one who's signing up for the $100,000 of debt or more, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. Yeah. You better love it.
I think the biggest thing, and like one of the things that I would say a takeaway is you need to go in with your top dollar, like what you can, like, this is the most I can spend, and you got to stick with it. If houses are above that, don't even go look at them, because you're going to get yourself into a situation where you're down the road having to pay that mortgage, and it might be where you're like, oh gosh, this is becoming more than I can chew off. And like, what do I do? And we'd never want you to be in a situation where you bit off more than you can chew.
Now you have a house, but you can't buy furniture. You can't do anything. You can't go travel. You can't do all these other things.
It comes with
and
all these expenses.
And that's why it's so important on the ladder, before you make any money decisions, to set goals.
Yeah.
Because if you have your goals and you know your goals and you remind yourself often of your goals, it will help you avoid these terrible decisions in the emotional moment. Right. So after you've identified where you're at on the ladder and you're positioned correctly, and we've told you avoid gotta have a house fever, the next step is we want to make sure you get pre-qualified for your mortgage. And a pre-qualified mortgage, what that does is you work with your lender. It makes sure that the bank will give you a pre-qualification letter. They ask the information from you about your income, about your debts that you have. They pull your credit, and they pre-approve you. They pre-qualify you for X amount of a mortgage. And what that does is that helps your offer stand out when you make your offer, because if they know that you're already pre-approved or pre-qualified and another offer doesn't have that letter, guess which one they choose if everything else is the same? Yeah. They're going to choose the one who's pre-qualified. Yeah. So did you guys do that?
We did. Yeah. I would say if you're in the point where you're like, okay, I meet all these requirements, I'm ready to start looking, I want a house, I would first go get that letter and go get pre-qualified and do it. It's a lot of work. Like they require a lot of information. You have to answer a lot of questions and provide them with stuff, but do that work on the front end so that, cause like I'm saying, like houses pop up and they go that day. Like our house sold in a couple hours. We bought a house in a couple hours, like it's a hot market. And so when you already have that, it makes you, like you're saying, stand out, and you're able to make that jump when the right house comes available.
And somebody might pick up this podcast 3-4 years from now and the market has subsided. And it's not a hot market. And maybe the financial consequences of all the decisions made during the pandemic have come out to be that, people's income has really been affected. Yeah. And there's something like 2008 and 2009, pre-qualification makes you stand out even more because so many people are in trouble that you can make an offer where there's absolutely no trouble. Right. So then after you do that, after you get pre-qualified for your mortgage, and you can do that at any bank that you want to work with or a credit union that lends with mortgages, go to a local community bank if you want to meet with people in person, or you can start your application online with any major bank. And then you need to find a highly effective real estate agent. And I want to explain this clearly. The highly effective real estate agent is the person who buys and sells a lot. And they work with you personally, and you can find that person in your area rapidly. Find out who the high-octane person is who's selling. Trust me, it's not because they have a magical name. It's not because they're magical. Yeah. It's because they are great at what they do, and they can get information to you rapidly. They can help make sure your offer stands out. They can give you advice along the way so that when you do find the house, you are the one that finds yourself moving into that house 30 to 45 days later. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I loved our real estate agent. If you live in Anderson area, let me know. I'd love to hook you up. But like the amount of work that she and her team did was crazy. Things happen so fast. People need information, especially when you're making offers, when you're buying and when you're selling. Like there's all these things that I had no idea that happened behind the scenes that she's doing. And they have to be willing at the drop of a hat to say, you want to go look at this house? Okay, let's go. Right. And because if not, then the house is gone and you've lost it, at least in this market right here. And so I think I can't state this fact enough, because we wouldn't have gotten our house if she wasn't willing to do the hard work and be on call all the time, which I felt bad about asking her questions at 9:00 at night, but she's like, no, it's my job. Whenever you need something, ask me and I'm going to get it to you.
That's the definition of a highly effective real estate agent. They understand that their hours are when the buyers are off of work, and many people work daytime hours. So in the evening, you got to be able to have accessibility to them, that they can get information that you need to know so you can make good decisions, make good offers. And the last thing that we wanted to share with you is it's important for you to negotiate. Negotiate. Negotiation, you may not be able to negotiate a lot on price in hot markets. In some markets, it's not hot, and you can negotiate quite a bit. One way to negotiate is make sure you get a home inspection, even if it's a brand new house, because that home inspection can allow you to do what is called back-end negotiating. That, hey, they accepted your offer, and you had it based upon, subject to a successful and resolution of anything found in a home inspection. You have a certified home inspector. They do a great job. There are so many great home inspector companies out there that do the diligence, and they can point out to you the issues. And if it's a major issue, they can help you avoid making massive financial mistake. And a lot of times that can allow you to negotiate on the back end. You know, I bought an apartment complex recently, and it had some water issues underneath it. We found that out in the inspection.
That's good.
And so we went and got a quote on what it cost to put in sump pumps and all the work and all that stuff. And instead of having, and we said, hey, either fix it or, you know, we have to pay for this to be delivered whole.
Right.
And they just said, hey, we're taking that off the purchase price, period. And we don't want to deal with it. You deal with it. And so that's what we did. And guess what? We didn't use the money and go sit it in the bank account. We used it to put in sump pumps. Very exciting. But that's called negotiating. And negotiating, everything's negotiable. Are you going to have to lawn mow? If there's a John Deere lawnmower in there, you could say, hey, would you also include the John Deere lawnmower? And that can, I mean, you can ask for stuff like that. And a lot of times that person's moving and they don't need that John Deere lawnmower anymore. And they're like, I didn't know I was going to get rid of it anyhow. I don't want to deal with selling on Facebook Marketplace.
That happened to us. We wanted, they had rocking chairs on the front porch and we really wanted them. So we asked if we could buy them and they were like, we'll just give them to you. You can include them. They left a grill for us. They left surround sound.
How nice is that?
Yeah, like all these things for us. And also like they had just put a new roof on. Awesome. Before they sold the house. It's great. But they didn't, when the new roof got put on, they didn't connect something right. So the inspection caught it and was able to say like, hey, this needs to be fixed. Because if not, we would have turned our heat on and we would have had a massive problem. So I can't state enough about the inspection. Like that's definitely huge. But you can also negotiate, hey, I need a home warranty for a year. Or hey, like I will pay for this much of the closing costs. Can you pay for this? Or I'll pay for a termite letter, or, you know, there's all these different aspects of it that you can negotiate that could make you stand out. But make sure you're like looking out for you too. So you have to be the one that live there. So make sure when, you know, unless your real estate agent says like, hey, don't include anything, just go there, you know, like make sure that you're still going to be able to, I don't know, that home warranty for us in the first house was key.
You are in control. You are the buyer.
Yeah, and
it's
a lot of
money.
times they give you a great home warranty if it's your first time buying, like first time home buyers. And for us, that bought us a new hot water heater, a new air conditioning unit, a new dishwasher, like a new part of our ridge cap of our roof. Like it bought us a lot of things that we're super thankful for. So I highly encourage that as well.
And that helps protect your emergency fund.
Yes.
So you don't have to use it for that.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a way
those
of
things would have
offsetting
been
that. Because insurance, as we said in many episodes, it allows you to transfer risk.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
It's huge.
So, hey, we have a quote for today. It's a verse from the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 27. And it says, put your outdoor work in order and get your fields ready. After that, build your house. And I love this verse saying, put your outdoor work in order and get your fields ready. After that, build your house. In other words, it's saying, hey, do the things that produce income first, then go take care of the house. Because what it's really a recognition of is if you don't have that stuff in place, then you can build the house and you're going to lose the house because you won't be able to sustain it. And so we love that and wanted to share that. That is Proverbs 24:27. Yep. Now, next Monday, we're going to talk about what?
Next Monday, we're talking about saving for Qs. So it's K-U-E. And an S on the end. It is known upcoming non-monthly expenses. So we talk a lot about the importance of saving for these known upcoming non-monthly expenses. So how do you save for these and what exactly are those expenses? What's included in that? What's not included? We'll break it all down for you next week.
Yes, and if you like today's episode, please help us get this podcast to other people who can benefit. Those people thinking about buying their first house.
Yeah.
Send it to your kids if you've got grown kids looking at that or friends. And you can do this quickly by rating our podcast, leaving a review, send a link to your friends on that phone. If you've implemented one of our tips, of course, we'd love to share your success stories. Share it with us by emailing at info@IWBNIN.com, info@IWBNIN.com, or on any of our social media channels. You can message us. Who knows? Your success story might be featured on the podcast. As we close it out today, we do celebrate the fact that you're looking for a house. Good luck in your search. And maybe send us a picture of you standing on the front doorstep when you successfully purchase it. You all have a great Monday and a great week.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit IWBNIN.com. We'll catch you next time.